They told you to visualize, to write it down 10 times a day, to feel it in your bones until it becomes real. But what if I told you the very act of trying is the very thing keeping it away? This is the trap almost no one dares to expose. The spiritual prison of attraction. Every time you try to pull something closer, you confirm it is not here. You confirm it is outside of you. You confirm you are separate. That single belief creates the vibrational gap that keeps you locked out of the life you crave. And here is the truth that should shake you. The universe does not answer to wanting. It answers only to being. The field is not a catalog you beg from. It is a mirror, ruthless, precise, exact. When you long for something, you transmit lack. When you chase, you vibrate absence. The field reflects it back with unshakable loyalty. This is why so many remain stuck. They affirm with their mouths, but their frequency betrays them. They meditate in the morning and collapse into fear by noon. They pray for change, but their identity still radiates doubt. The result never changes. The same loops, the same delay, the same emptiness. But listen carefully. You do not need to attract what you already are. You do not magnetize what is distant. You collapse into what is already available. Every possibility of your life already exists now. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Like radio channels, infinite versions of you are broadcasting. The question is simple. Which one are you tuned to? This is the shift that cannot be postponed. From attraction to alignment. From wishing to becoming. From chasing to embodying. The field is not waiting. It is responding. Right now. And if you do not shift your signal, you will miss the life that was always yours. So let me ask you, how many times have you repeated the ritual only to feel nothing move? How many times have you convinced yourself that patience was the answer, while deep inside you knew you were circling the same track? How many times have you hoped the next book, the next teacher, the next affirmation would finally unlock the door? And yet here you are, still waiting, still searching, still asking, why do you see the danger? If you keep chasing, you will keep confirming the absence. If you keep affirming from lack, the field will keep echoing lack. And the more you try, the further it drifts. This is not punishment. This is precision. Energy responds only to the signal you broadcast. The double-slit experiment revealed it. Observation changes outcome. Awareness collapses possibility. Consciousness is not passive. It is the architect. When you stand in separation, you collapse separation. When you stand in lack, you collapse lack. This is science, not fantasy. And it should terrify you if you are not aligned. In New York, a man lived this trap for a decade. 10 years of journals, 10 years of vision boards, 10 years of endless hope. His life remained the same until exhaustion broke him. And in that breaking, he stopped asking when. He started living as if the dream had already arrived. Within 6 months, his reality flipped. Not because he begged harder, not because he performed rituals, but because he became the man who already had it. So I ask you, how much longer will you wait? How many more years will you waste chasing what is already available? What is the cost of staying the same? Of circling the same loop? Of repeating the same words while your frequency screams the opposite? Do not lie to yourself. You know the cost. The restless nights, the doubt in your chest, the weight of wondering why it works for others, but not for you. That is the prison, and the bars are made of your own identity. But here is the key. You do not need to push harder. You do not need another ritual. You need alignment, internal coherence. A signal so clean, the field has no choice but to mirror it. This is not effort. This is precision. Feel it now. Think it now. Embody it now, not tomorrow. Now, the question is not when your dream will arrive. The question is when you will align, when you will collapse into the version of you who already lives it. That version is not in the future. It is here, parallel, waiting. So I challenge you. Stop listening like a spectator. Step into this moment like a creator. Right now, type a single flame in the comments. That small act is not for me. It is for you. It is the signal you send to the field. A declaration that you refuse to circle the same loop again. Because this is your line in the sand. This is the moment the cycle ends. You are not chasing anymore. You are choosing. You are collapsing into your power. And if you let this pass, if you tell yourself you will try later, then later will become forever. So choose now. Declare now. Align now. The life you crave has always been here, waiting for your signal. And I will ask you once more. If not now, then when? If not you, then who? And if you continue to wait, what will it cost you? The field is listening. What signal will you send? The key is not to pull it in. The key is to collapse into what already exists. Let that settle for a moment, because if this is true, then everything you have been taught about waiting, chasing, and asking has been upside down. If this is true, then the future you are desperate to reach is not out there. It is here, right now, running parallel, waiting only for your alignment. So let me ask you, how much of your life has been spent waiting for later, for the right time, for the perfect sign, for the proof that it is safe to believe? And yet, what if later never comes? What if the only doorway to your future self is not hidden in tomorrow, but in the present moment you are standing in right now? This is where quantum truth disrupts everything. Time is not linear. Reality is not a straight road. Every possibility already exists as energy, side by side, like countless channels broadcasting at once. And you are not walking toward them. You are tuning into them. You are collapsing into one version, while infinite others continue to broadcast. The universe does not ask, "What do you want?" and then ship it to you on a delay. The universe reflects, precisely, unfailingly, ruthlessly consistent. It shows you the signal you are radiating. It mirrors your identity. It collapses your frequency into form. This is what science has whispered for decades. The collapse of the wave function. At the smallest level of reality, everything exists as probability, as potential, as wave. But the moment observation enters, the wave collapses. Possibility becomes reality. Awareness decides the outcome. Consciousness is not a passenger. It is the architect. Do you understand what this means for you? It means the life you are craving is not waiting for you to deserve it. It is not waiting for a ritual. It is waiting for you to observe it as yourself, to embody the state of already having it, to see it not as distant, but as present. And this is not philosophy. This is measurable, proven, repeated. Reality does not shift when you try harder. It shifts when your observation aligns, when your identity aligns, when your inner state collapses into coherence. Let me tell you a story. In California, there was a therapist, brilliant, educated, but tormented by anxiety. She tried medication. She tried routines. She tried every method to quiet her restless mind. Nothing worked, until she discovered an ancient teaching reframed by Neville Goddard. Live from the end. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So she tried. Not forcing, not begging. She simply began to carry herself as the woman who was already whole. She walked differently. She spoke differently. She breathed differently. She chose to embody the freedom she once waited for. And something remarkable happened. Her anxiety loosened, then dissolved. Within months, the woman who had battled inner chaos was leading patients into peace. Her healing became her teaching, and thousands followed Dot. So I ask you, what would shift in your life if you stopped waiting? What would unfold if you stopped affirming from absence and started embodying presence? Can you see the cost of delay? Every moment you postpone alignment, you postpone the collapse of your reality. And the field will not wait. It will simply keep reflecting what you are broadcasting now. This is why the signal matters. Not the words, not the ritual, the frequency. Your internal state is the command. Your coherence is the key. Right now, as you hear these words, you are sending a signal. The field is responding. Precise, exact. What is it mirroring back to you? Fear, doubt, waiting, or embodiment, power. Alignment. This is not about pulling your dream closer. This is about collapsing into the version of you who already holds it. That version is not fantasy. That version is energy. Existing here, broadcasting now, waiting only for you to step into resonance. So I urge you, do not let this moment slip. Do not convince yourself you can do it later. Later is how you miss it. Now is how you collapse into it. Type the words, I am ready to embody in the comments. Not for me, for you. That simple act becomes a declaration, a marker in the field, a signal that your frequency is shifting right now. Because the truth is simple. The universe does not delay. It mirrors. And if you do not align, you will keep circling the same loops, living the same days, and wondering why nothing changes. But if you align, if you embody, if you collapse into coherence, everything shifts. Not slowly, not someday, instantly. So again I ask you, how long will you wait? How much longer will you postpone the life already waiting for you? The key is not to pull it in. The key is to collapse into what already exists. The field is listening. What signal will you send? And now, the question that must be faced. How can your inner state truly become the command the universe cannot ignore? The universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. Let that sink in, because if this is true, then every vision you have written down, every dream you have repeated, every desire you have whispered means nothing unless your frequency matches it. You can ask 1,000 times, but if your energy says the opposite, the field will mirror that signal with brutal accuracy. So let me ask you, how many times have you imagined wealth while secretly fearing lack? How many times have you pictured love while vibrating with the terror of rejection? How many times have you claimed freedom while your heart pulsed with the energy of control and doubt? Be honest. You know the answer. This is the hidden law no one wants to face. The field does not reward your words. It reflects your vibration. And your vibration is carved by your thoughts, your emotions, your identity. It is the signature you broadcast every second, whether you are aware of it or not. Your personal frequency is the real command, the invisible order you send into the field. Every thought creates a ripple. Every emotion adds weight. Together, they form your vibrational imprint. And that imprint is what reality collapses around. This is why coherence is everything. Not scattered thoughts, not fractured emotions. Coherence. When your heart and mind move together, the signal becomes pure, powerful, undeniable. The HeartMath Institute proved this. They measured the rhythm of the heart. Under stress, fear, or anger, the rhythm becomes jagged, chaotic, unstable. But in gratitude, in appreciation, in love, the rhythm smooths into a wave, a harmonious pattern that strengthens the electromagnetic field around you, a signal that expands beyond your body, influencing not only your biology, but the reality you step into. Do you feel the weight of that? Love and gratitude are not soft emotions. They are frequencies that restructure your entire field. They are power. They are precision. They are commands to the universe that cannot be ignored. And the proof is not just in the lab. It is in the lives of those who dared to embody it. There was a veteran in America, a man broken by war, haunted by memories, trapped in the prison of PTSD. For years, he lived in fear, his nervous system locked in survival, his nights filled with panic, his days consumed by shadows. Then he discovered heart coherence. At first, he doubted. How could something as simple as breathing with intention, as simple as feeling gratitude, change what medicine and therapy had not? But desperation made him try. So he practiced. Each morning, he placed his hand on his chest. He slowed his breath. He chose one feeling, no matter how small. Gratitude for the sun, appreciation for the breath moving through him. The tiniest spark of love. At first, it felt forced, but slowly his heart rhythm shifted. His brainwaves softened. His body learned coherence. And as weeks turned into months, his nights quieted. His days opened. The war inside him dissolved. He became a man reborn, not because he begged for healing, but because he embodied the frequency of healing. This is the power of coherence. This is the proof. So now I ask you, what are you broadcasting when no one is watching? What signal are you sending when you wake in the silence of morning? When doubt creeps in at night, do you radiate fear? Or do you radiate alignment? Because the universe is not fooled by your words. It hears only your vibration. And that vibration is your destiny. If you want your energy to become the command, then this is your first step. Align your heart and your mind. Create coherence. Practice gratitude not as a ritual, but as a frequency. Breathe love not as an idea, but as energy. This is not optional. This is survival. Without coherence, you scatter your signal. With coherence, you become magnetic. Reality bends toward you. The field mirrors you. So do not wait. Do not postpone alignment until tomorrow. Tomorrow does not exist. The only signal you can broadcast is the one you radiate now. If you are ready to step into coherence, take action right now. Press like on this video. Not as a gesture, not as a habit, but as an anchor, as a declaration that your energy is shifting in this very moment. That small action becomes your first alignment, your first command, your first proof to yourself that you are done waiting, done fearing, done scattering. Because when you align, the universe cannot resist. It must respond. So again, I ask you, if the universe responds only to what you are, then who are you choosing to be in this moment? What signal will you send into the field? And the deeper question still remains. How can you take this frequency, this coherence, and use it to reprogram not just your energy, but your very biology? Your biology is not determined by your genes. It is determined by your perception. Pause. Let that shake you. Because if this is true, then the story you have been told about destiny, heredity, and fixed outcomes collapses. If this is true, then the limits you thought were written in your DNA are not chains at all. They are illusions. So let me ask you, how many times have you said, "It runs in my family"? How many times have you feared that the struggles of your parents or grandparents would be your struggles too? How many times have you surrendered to a script written by someone else's body, someone else's life, someone else's past? What if that script was never yours? Bruce Lipton, a pioneer of epigenetics, revealed the shocking truth. Genes are not dictators. They are options, switches, potentials waiting for instruction. And the real control does not come from the DNA itself. It comes from the environment outside your cells, and the environment inside your mind, your beliefs, your emotions, your perceptions. They write the code your genes express. Science has proven it. Stress does not just make you tired. It rewrites biology. Chronic fear alters the way DNA expresses itself, leading to disease. But gratitude, love, and elevated emotions activate completely different expressions. They trigger resilience, healing, strength. Do you understand the magnitude of this? You are not a prisoner of your genes. You are the programmer. Your cells are listening to every signal you broadcast, every thought, every feeling, every perception. They obey it. They mirror it. So the question is simple. What story are you telling your biology? Let me give you proof from life itself. In Texas, there was a woman born into a family marked by diabetes. The doctors warned her early. They told her it was only a matter of time. The gene was there. The risk was certain. The outcome seemed inevitable, but she refused inevitability. She chose awareness. She chose practice. She began mindfulness not as a hobby, but as survival. She filled her days with meditation, gratitude, and new beliefs. She spoke to herself differently. She believed differently. She saw her body not as doomed, but as capable of rewriting itself, and her biology listened. Year after year, her health remained perfect. No symptoms, no decline. While others in her family lived the story of the gene, she lived the story of perception. She became living proof that biology bends to belief. So I ask you again, if genes are not destiny, then what excuse remains? If your cells are waiting for instruction, then why continue sending them signals of fear, doubt, and resignation? The choice is here, right now. You can remain a victim of a script you never wrote, or you can become the author of your own biology. But make no mistake, this is urgent. Every thought you hold, every emotion you entertain, every belief you embody is programming your cells in this moment. They are not waiting for tomorrow. They are responding now. So if you are ready to step into the truth, declare it. Write in the comments, I command my destiny, not for me, for your body, for your cells. Let them hear it. Let them feel it. Let them align with it, because the power is already in you, not hidden in your genes, not sealed in your DNA, but alive in your perception. Asterisk, this is not optional knowledge. This is survival. To ignore it is to surrender your biology to fear. To embody it is to awaken the architect within you. So the real question is this. If your subconscious has been pulling you back into old patterns, old beliefs, old identities, then how will you break free? How will you step into the self that already exists beyond those patterns? How will you embody the future you when the past version is still whispering in your cells? That is the doorway we must walk through next. You cannot hold a reality you are not emotionally compatible with. Think about that. Because if this is true, then every dream, every goal, every vision you have written down will vanish the moment your emotions do not match it. The universe does not give you what you write. It mirrors what you feel. So let me ask you, how many times have you declared success with your words while carrying doubt in your chest? How many times have you visualized abundance while secretly vibrating lack? How many times have you prayed for love while radiating fear of rejection? And then you wondered why nothing stayed. Asterisk, the answer is simple. You cannot hold what you are not. Neville Goddard revealed the secret decades ago. Live from the end. Do not wish for it. Do not chase it. Become it. Embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Walk, speak, breathe as if it is already yours. Because in the quantum field, it already is. Abraham Hicks called it the receiving mode, a frequency where what you desire flows not because you chase it, but because you are tuned to it. The stream is always there. The question is, are you aligned enough to receive? asterisk. But here's the challenge. Your subconscious is the gatekeeper. It protects your current identity like a fortress. It says, this is who you are. This is what is safe. This is what is familiar. And every time you try to step beyond it, resistance rises. Fear rises. Self-sabotage rises. Not because you are weak, but because your subconscious fights to preserve what it knows. So the battle is not outside. It is inside. The battle is not against the world. It is against the self that clings to the old identity. Let me tell you a story. In Los Angeles, there was an athlete, young, talented, but overlooked. No one saw him as a champion. No one believed he would rise, except him. He began to imagine, not as fantasy, but as embodiment. Each morning, he saw himself holding the trophy. Each evening, he felt the weight of victory in his hands. He lived in the end. He became the version of himself who had already won. 1 year later, the impossible became real. He lifted the cup, tears streaming down his face. The same image he had rehearsed in silence was now carved into reality. Not because he begged for it, not because he forced it, but because he became compatible with it. So I ask you, what reality are you trying to hold while your emotions betray you? What dream are you chasing while your frequency contradicts it? How long will you repeat the loop of wanting without becoming? The truth is uncheckable. You cannot hold what you are not, and you will never be given what your emotions reject. So this is your turning point. If you are ready to step into the version of you who already lives the life you desire, declare it now. Press like. Leave a comment that says, I already am, not as a ritual, not as habit, but as a declaration, as the first step into alignment. Because when you declare, your subconscious listens. When you embody, your frequency shifts. And when your frequency shifts, the field cannot help but mirror you. This is not theory. This is not metaphor. This is precision. Reality collapses around identity. And your identity is carved by your emotions. So the question becomes urgent. What version of you will you choose to embody today? The one who wishes, or the one who already is. And yet another question still lingers. If alignment is the key, if emotional compatibility is everything, then what is it that blocks you from tuning in fully? What force holds you back from stepping into resonance? What invisible chain keeps you stuck, no matter how much you want to move forward? That is where we go next. The truth is, it is the ego that feeds the gap. Think about that, because if this is true, then the barrier between you and the life you desire is not fate. It is not timing. It is not the universe holding back. It is your ego, the part of you that whispers you are not enough, the part of you that clings to control, the part of you that survives by convincing you to chase what you already are. So let me ask you, how many times have you declared one thing but felt another? How many times have you said, I am ready, while your vibration screamed fear? How many times have you visualized abundance while secretly trembling with the thought of lack? That conflict is the crack where the ego thrives. The conscious mind says, I want, but the vibration says, I don't have. The conscious mind says, I believe, but the heart frequency hums with doubt. This inner war keeps you in loops. It drains your power. It convinces you the dream is distant, when in truth, the distance is manufactured by the ego itself. The ego feeds on lack. It needs the story of not enough to survive. It thrives when you compare, when you chase, when you fear. It keeps you trapped in the illusion of separation. And as long as you identify with it, you will always feel the gap. So what is the solution? Not forcing harder, not chasing more. The solution is to manage the state within, to shift your alignment, not your outcome. to regulate your inner coherence instead of obsessing over external results. When you align internally, the ego loses its grip. When you surrender the chase, the field responds. When you choose presence over panic, the gap dissolves. And this is not theory. It has been lived, proven, embodied. There was a CEO in America, a brilliant leader in technology, ambitious, driven. He built company after company, chasing growth, chasing numbers, chasing recognition. On the outside, he looked powerful. On the inside, he was collapsing. Sleepless nights, panic attacks, burnout so deep, he wondered if it would kill him. He thought the solution was more discipline, more effort, more strategy, but every step forward drained him further. Until finally, broken and desperate, he discovered a truth that shattered him. It was not the goals destroying him. It was his state. So he let go. For the first time, he released the chase. He stopped obsessing over outcomes and began to manage only one thing: his inner coherence. Breathing, gratitude, presence. The ego screamed at first, terrified of losing control. But as he surrendered, something strange happened. His company flourished. His relationships deepened. His health returned. The things he once chased began to align on their own, not because he forced them, because he dissolved the gap. So I ask you now, what gap are you feeding? Where are you still serving the ego's illusion of lack? How many more years will you give to the false belief that striving is the only way? The truth is simple. Manage the state, not the result. Choose coherence, not chaos. Become aligned within, and the field cannot help but mirror it. And this choice is not tomorrow's choice. It is this moment, right now. Every second you spend in misalignment is another second you feed the gap. Every second you wait is another second the ego wins. So if you are ready to stop feeding separation, declare it. Write in the comments, I choose alignment, not for me, for you, for the field that mirrors your frequency, for the cells in your body that listen to every word you say to yourself. This declaration becomes your anchor, a signal of surrender, a command to the universe that you refuse to chase anymore, that you choose presence, that you choose coherence, that you choose alignment, because the ego will not stop whispering. It will always say, not enough. It will always point to the gap. But you are not required to listen. You are not required to obey. So ask yourself, will you continue to fuel the illusion? Or will you step into the truth that was always waiting? Because the real challenge is not outside. It is not the dream. It is not the universe. The real challenge is the fear, the delay, the sabotage you carry inside. And that is the doorway we must step through next. How do you overcome fear and hesitation so you never sabotage yourself again? Procrastination is not laziness. It is vibrational misalignment. Let that truth hit you. Because if this is real, then the times you thought you were weak, lazy, or undisciplined were never about willpower at all. They were about energy. They were about the conflict between who you say you want to be and what you are actually vibrating. So let me ask you, how many times have you delayed a dream, not because you didn't care, but because fear whispered too loudly? Fear of failing, fear of judgment, fear of not being perfect, fear that if you begin, the world will see the cracks. That is not laziness. That is the ego disguising fear as delay. That is your energy broadcasting disharmony. That is misalignment in action. Procrastination is the symptom. Misalignment is the cause, and the danger is clear. Every time you postpone, you widen the gap between you and your potential. Every time you wait, you affirm lack. You tell the universe, I am not ready. And the universe responds, then I will wait with you. So how do you break it? How do you end the cycle of waiting? How do you finally silence the hesitation that has stolen years of your life? The answer is not to push harder. The answer is to realign. Mindfulness becomes your tool. Awareness that catches the spiral before it drags you under. Compassion becomes your anchor. Instead of punishing yourself for delay, you breathe into it. You soothe the nervous system. You soften the fear. And then, small actions create momentum. This is where the power of small wins emerges. The Pomodoro technique. 15 minutes. One focus. One movement forward. Not perfection. Not completion. Just alignment in motion. That small shift carries energy. That energy grows. And suddenly, the wall you thought was immovable begins to crumble. And this is not theory. This is lived. At Harvard, there was a student drowning in procrastination. Assignments piled. Deadlines missed. Shame heavy on his chest. He considered walking away. He considered giving up. Not because he lacked talent, but because misalignment had trapped him. Then he discovered the practice of small wins. He stopped trying to finish the mountain. He chose the first stone. 15 minutes. One paragraph. One task. Again and again. Slowly his vibration shifted. The fear loosened. The energy moved. Within months, he not only completed his degree, he found his voice. He wrote his story. That story became a book. That book became a bestseller. His delay had nearly cost him everything. But alignment, one small win at a time, gave him his future back. So now I ask you, what dream are you postponing because of misalignment? What gift are you withholding from the world because you are waiting to feel ready? And what will it cost you if you continue to wait? The truth is simple. You will never feel ready. You will only feel aligned. And alignment comes not from waiting, but from acting now. So this is your first step. Right here, right now. Press like on this video. Not for me, for you. Let that action be your signal to the field. Let it be your declaration that you refuse to wait another day. Because when you act, even in the smallest way, you collapse the gap. You shift the frequency. You prove to yourself that you are not trapped. You are moving. You are aligning. This is the cure to procrastination. Not punishment, not shame. Alignment, presence. Small wins. So, again I ask you, how long will you wait? How much longer will you feed the illusion of delay? And what could your life look like if you chose, in this very moment, to realign? Because the question ahead is even deeper. How can you create transformation not tomorrow, not someday, but instantly? How can you shift in the very moment the fear arises, without waiting for conditions to change? That is the power we step into next. Every quantum leap begins from within, right now. Let those words sink deep, because if this is true, then the doorway to everything you want is not in the future. It is here. It is in this breath, this choice, this moment. And the longer you wait, the further you drift from the only place transformation ever happens. So let me ask you, how many times have you promised yourself you would begin tomorrow? How many times have you told yourself you needed more proof, more confidence, or signs before you could step forward? How many times have you postponed your dream because you believe now was not enough? Hesitation is the trap. Quantum change does not thunder down like lightning. It begins in silence, subtle, delicate, almost invisible. It begins as a shift inside you, a thought chosen differently, a feeling embodied fully, a decision made in the present instead of postponed to the future. That is the seed of transformation. Belief is the stabilizer. Without it, your vibration wavers. With it, your signal becomes steady, uncheckable, undeniable. Belief locks the frequency in place until reality collapses around it. So hear this clearly. Stop begging. Stop pleading. Stop asking as if the universe is withholding. It is not. The field is waiting for your broadcast, not your words, your signal. Stop asking and start transmitting. Stop hoping and start radiating. This is the difference between delay and destiny. The ones who shift are not the ones who ask the loudest. They are the ones who embody the frequency now. And I will show you proof. In Chicago, there was an unknown artist. No stage, no fame, just a dream that seemed impossibly far away. For years, she begged for her chance. She prayed for a break. Nothing came. Until one day she made a radical decision. She stopped asking. She began living as if she had already arrived. She woke up and carried herself like a star. She dressed for the stage she could not yet see. She spoke as if she already belonged there. She walked through the city not as a dreamer, but as a performer. She broadcast the frequency of arrival. 2 years later, she stood under the lights of Broadway. Applause thundered. Tears streamed down her face. The reality she once begged for collapsed into her timeline. Not because she chased it, because she chose to broadcast it. So I ask you again, what are you transmitting now? Are you sending the vibration of waiting, of lack, of not yet? Or are you broadcasting the energy of completion, of embodiment, of now? Do not underestimate this. Every delay is costly. Every moment spent asking instead of transmitting widens the gap. But every choice to align now collapses the gap instantly. So if you are ready, declare it. Write in the comments, I choose the present. Do not hesitate. Do not wait. That act itself becomes the shift, the signal to your subconscious, the vibration to the field, because presence is power. This moment is the only moment you will ever hold. And if you waste it, you waste the only doorway to transformation that exists. Quantum leaps are not miracles given to the chosen few. They are choices. Choices repeated. Choices embodied. Choices made in the present. Until the present bends into the future, you have already claimed. So again, I ask you, how many more tomorrows will you waste? How much longer will you live in the illusion of someday? And what could happen if you chose alignment now? The answer is waiting. The power is waiting. The leap is waiting. And the deeper mystery remains. When you fall, when life strikes you down, when the weight feels unbearable, what is the force that helps you rise again? That is the question we step into. Next, strength is not about never falling. It is about rising every single time. Let that truth echo in you. Because if this is real, then the moments you broke, the nights you cried, the times you thought you could not go on, were never signs of weakness. They were doorways, tests, invitations to rise again stronger, deeper, more alive than before. So let me ask you, how many times have you hidden your scars, pretending you were unshaken? How many times have you silenced your story out of fear that others would judge, reject, or dismiss you? How many times have you chosen the mask of perfection, while inside your soul longed to be seen? That mask is the prison. Real power is not found in pretending you are unbreakable. Real power lives in your vulnerability, in the courage to stand in the open and say, this is me. These are my fears. These are my wounds. And I am still here, because vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is resonance. It is the frequency that makes others feel less alone. It is the doorway that turns pain into connection, and connection into community. And I will show you proof. In Detroit, there was a single mother. Her life collapsed under the weight of debt. She lost everything. Bankruptcy shattered her pride. Fear suffocated her. Shame whispered she had failed beyond repair. But instead of hiding, she made a radical choice. She spoke her truth. She shared her fear. She revealed her pain to the world, not as a victim, but as a human, honest, raw, vulnerable. And something extraordinary happened. People listened. People related. People felt less alone. Her brokenness became a bridge. Her wounds became wisdom. Her voice built a community of over 200,000 souls who saw themselves in her story. Her collapse became her strength. Her shame became her power. So now I ask you, what story are you hiding? What truth are you silencing? What power are you withholding from the world because you are afraid of being seen? The universe does not require your perfection. It requires your authenticity, because only when you show yourself fully can your frequency resonate fully. And resonance is what changes lives. Your vulnerability is not a liability. It is leverage. So do not fear your cracks. Do not bury your scars. The very places you think disqualify you are the places that will connect you to thousands. And the world is waiting. Waiting not for your mask, but for your truth. So if this speaks to you, declare it. Press the heart. Leave a comment. I choose to rise. Let those words not just sit on a screen, but vibrate into your field. Let them remind your subconscious that your story has power. Because every time you choose to rise, every time you choose to reveal, you collapse another layer of shame. You align with the truth that strength is not about never falling. It is about rising every single time. So again, I ask you, what would happen if you dared to share your truth? What lives could you touch? What community could you build? What future could unfold if you stopped hiding your story and started embodying it? Because the real question is no longer if you can rise. You already know you can. The real question is this: how can you tell your story in a way that shifts not only your life, but the lives of everyone who hears it? That is the mystery we step into next. You create influence not when you are perfect, but when you are authentic. Think about that. Because if this is true, then all the effort you have poured into looking flawless, polished, and untouchable has been working against you. Perfection builds walls. Authenticity builds bridges. And the world does not crave your mask. It craves your truth. So let me ask you, when was the last time you were captivated by a story that felt scripted, sanitized, or fake? You weren't. What moved you? What stayed with you? What shifted you was the raw truth of someone daring to be real. That is where influence is, born. And nowhere is this more urgent than on platforms like YouTube. Because here, you have only seconds. 3 to 5 seconds to hook the viewer before their finger scrolls you into oblivion. And in those first moments, your job is not to be perfect. Your job is to be undeniable. To speak a truth so raw, so magnetic, so authentic that the viewer cannot look away. This is where storytelling becomes your weapon. Not stories of fantasy, not stories wrapped in perfection, but stories shaped like the hero's journey. A sparkline of tension, conflict, collapse, and triumph. The hook that grabs, the struggle that resonates, the victory that inspires. This is how hearts are moved. This is how loyalty is built. But here is the secret that so many ignore. Authenticity is the core. You can borrow techniques. You can study hooks. You can copy formats. But if your voice is not anchored in your higher self, your message will fall flat. Because people are not drawn to the perfect mask. They are drawn to the real soul behind the words. And I will show you proof. In San Francisco, there was a small YouTuber. Few subscribers. Few views. For months, nothing he posted broke through. He studied trends. He copied formats. He tried to look like the big creators. And nothing worked. Until one day, broken by depression, he did something different. He told the truth, raw, vulnerable. He spoke openly about his struggle, his darkest nights, his fight to keep going. He did not script it. He did not polish it. He shared from his heart. The response was explosive. People saw themselves in him. They felt his pain. They resonated with his courage. His community grew. His voice spread. In a year, his channel rose from invisible to over 1 million subscribers. Not because he pretended to be perfect, but because he dared to be real. So now I ask you, what truth are you hiding? What mask are you clinging to? And what would happen if you dared to step out from behind it? Because your voice matters, but only if it is authentic. Your story has power, but only if it is told without the armor of perfection. And authenticity is not weakness. It is resonance. It is alignment with your higher self. It is the frequency that cuts through noise and reaches the hearts that are meant to hear you. So if you are ready to step into this, declare it. Write in the comments, I choose authenticity. Not for me, for you, for your audience, for the field that mirrors the truth you embody. Because this is your moment to stop hiding, to stop polishing away your humanity, to step into the raw power of your story and let it move the world. And here is the final question that cannot be ignored. After everything you have heard, after every truth revealed, how will you carry these lessons forward? How will you not only absorb them, but embody them, so your life transforms from the inside out? True transformation is never loud. It is silent, but irreversible. So let me ask you, how many times have you been waiting for the big moment, the lightning strike, the dramatic sign that everything has changed? And yet, what if the real change does not shout? What if it whispers? What if it begins so quietly inside you that only later do you realize your entire life has shifted? This is the truth you cannot ignore. Transformation does not come from chasing. It comes from embodying, from moving beyond attraction into alignment, from pulling into becoming, from wishing into living. We began with the illusion of attraction, the endless cycle of asking, waiting, hoping, and we shattered it. You discovered that the universe does not answer your words. It answers your vibration, not what you want, what you are. You learned that your inner power is the command. That coherence between heart and mind is the signal that reality cannot resist. That fear, delay, and procrastination are not weakness, but misalignment. And that small wins, chosen now, break the cycle instantly. You saw that authenticity is not decoration. It is the anchor of your higher self. That vulnerability is not weakness, but resonance. That when you share your truth, you do not lose power. You multiply it. And now the final step is here. To take these truths and collapse them into action. Because transformation is not about collecting knowledge. It is about embodying knowledge until it rewrites your life. And I will show you proof once more. There was an ordinary person. Not famous, not rich, not powerful. Just someone listening, just like you. At the end of a video, they typed one simple comment. I choose the present. They thought it was small. They thought it was symbolic. But to their subconscious, it was a command. To the field, it was a frequency. Months later, they returned with a story. Their life had shifted. They met the love they had been waiting for. Not because the universe suddenly decided to bless them, but because they aligned. They declared. They embodied. That is the power of a single choice. So now the question is for you. What will you choose? Will you walk away from this video with more information, but the same vibration? Or will you declare the shift here? And now. Do not underestimate the weight of this moment. You may never pass this way again. The field is listening. Your subconscious is listening. Your body is listening. And what you declare now will echo forward into the timeline you collapse into dot, so I invite you to anchor it. Write in the comments, "I commit to embody." Let those words be your declaration. Not to me, to yourself, to your future, to the field dot, and take the second step. Press like. Share this video with those you love. Not as a favor, but as an act of resonance. When you share energy, it multiplies. When you spread alignment, it strengthens your own. And if you are ready to walk further, subscribe now. Not as a passive viewer, but as a creator of your reality. Each video, each lesson, each story will be a key to the version of you that is already waiting. Do not let it pass you by, and let me thank you. Out of millions of videos, you chose this one. That is not random. That is resonance. That is alignment calling you forward dot, so I will say this clearly. You did not just watch a video. You have been activated. The question is not whether transformation is possible. It already began the moment you listened. The only question is whether you will claim it dot. So once more, I ask you, what signal will you send now? Will you choose delay, or will you choose embodiment? Will you choose someday, or will you choose now? The universe is listening. Your future is waiting. The leap is here dot. Type it. Declare it. Embody it. I commit to embody.